arts, entertainment, food, fashion, and fun. Now, here's Natalie Hendricks with the Southern Scene.
Well, hello everybody and welcome to the Southern Scene. I'm WSAV's Natalie Hendricks. You know, every year in February we celebrate the founding of the colony of Georgia that happened way back on February 12th in 1733. It's a great way for our school kids to learn about their state's history and have fun at the same time. Every year, Chatham County schools hold educational events. We take part in the Living History program at the Wormslow Historic Site, and it all culminates with the Georgia Day Parade. To begin this year's celebration, we're spending time at the brand new headquarters of the Georgia Historical Society. They're the ones who work hard to bring all of the History Festival events together. And 2015 is the first year they've done it from the Jepson House Education Center on the corner of Gadsden and Whitaker Streets. Now, all the historic records are still housed at the Georgia Historical Society's Hodgson Hall, located right across the street. Now they've just expanded their campus with the Jepson House Education Center, and there's so much history here. And of course, joining me now is President and CEO of the Georgia Historical Society, Dr. Todd Rose. Hi, Todd.
Hello, Natalie. Welcome.
It's always great to see you.
Great to see you too.
Well, I am just so amazed at this gorgeous building. You know, I walked in and I was just taken aback. Of course, the Jepson House Education Center, a new facility for you guys. It is.
We had to do this project because of the growth that we've experienced over the past 10, 15, 20 years. The society has grown by leaps and bounds, and we had outgrown the building that everyone knows us, the Hodgson Hall, which is the research center. Everyone's familiar with that in Savannah. Well, we've grown so much over the past 10 years that we had to find new quarters for our offices, and that is how this project came about.
Well, I'm amazed at everything that you guys are involved with and that you do, and I think that that is the common misconception a little bit, that, you know, the headquarters is here, and I think for a lot of people they think that this is something that's just in Savannah, but you really do encompass the entire state, and specifically the information and the awareness that you provide goes across the country.
Well, it does. I mean, one of the things that we have built a statewide institution. One of the things that we are trying to do now is to position the society so that we become a nationally recognized institution, and that what we're doing here in Georgia is helping to educate people across the United States about American history. This building reflects the evolution of an institution that is 175 years old, and we are celebrating that 175th anniversary this year. The reason why we're headquartered in Savannah and not in Atlanta is because we were founded in 1839. In 1839, there was no Atlanta. The capital was in Milledgeville. Atlanta was a couple of buildings at the end of a railroad line.
Now, while I'm here at the Jepson House, you have to show me some of the, can you give me a little mini tour and show me some of the favorite aspects, some of your favorite aspects of the building?
Love to do that. Natalie, we are standing now in the entrance foyer of Jepson House,
which is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, I look at the walls when I come in here and I'm just taken aback.
We engaged Bob Christian to paint a scenic of Georgia. So the idea is that no matter where you are from in the state of Georgia, you will see something that looks familiar to you. One of the interesting architectural features of this particular room are the original pocket doors with the original glass. And it forms a wall between my office and the parlor there, and it's the main entranceway into my office. And people come in and remark on how extraordinary the glass is. Well, one of the most interesting things in here is the sword that's over the mantel. The house was bought by Robert Falligant, who became a judge here in Savannah. So this sword actually belonged to Robert Falligant. It has his name inscribed on the blade. The portrait above the mantel is of John Habersham. John served during the Revolutionary War, so this is a painting of him in his Revolutionary War uniform. That's part of the uniqueness of it. The paintings of soldiers from Georgia during the Revolution are extremely rare. This is the Thomas Leverett McMullen boardroom.
It's gorgeous.
It really is pretty extraordinary. Thomas Leverett McMullen is the father of John McMullen, who is a member of our Board of Curators, our governing board. They live in Atlanta. John lives in Atlanta. He and his son gave the second largest gift to the campaign. And so in honor of that, we offered them the largest room in the house, which is the boardroom. And John said, I'd like to name it for my father, Thomas Leverett McMullen. So in the room, what you'll see is a plaque that is recognizing Thomas Leverett McMullen. There's also this incredible portrait, which has a story of its own, that graces the room, of Thomas Leverett McMullen. Some of the other paintings in here, at the far end of the room is a painting of Joseph Lumpkin, who was the first Chief Justice of the State Supreme Court. The bust in the far corner is of William Wadley, and Wadley was one of the founders of the Center of Georgia Railroad. Up here are housed communications department, and then the education department, programming. So all of the programming that takes place for the Georgia History Festival is on this level. The historical marker program on this level, the lecture programs that we do, all the teacher workshops and training that we do.
This is the brainchild.
Right here,
we're
right here.
standing right in the middle of it. So the department that we're in right now, where we're standing, this is communications.
Communications, right.
Right on into development and education.
Right, yes. And right now, of course, we are planning the Georgia History Festival. And so a lot of activity going on because there's so many components of that, so many programs, including the parade, the event at Wormslow, and then all the teacher training that we do throughout the year takes place up here. It is put together in here, and then we take it out around the state. But the purpose of the building really is not about, well, we've got a new building and look how much we've grown. It's really about providing a better service for the people of Georgia. It's about teaching Georgia history, fulfilling the mission to collect Georgia history, to teach the history of the state. That's what this is going to allow us to do. And we knew that we were going to be more productive, and we've seen that begin to happen as the staff is here now. They're even more productive, more is happening. So it's preparing the society as we move into the 3rd century of this institution's history and also into the 21st century for Georgia.
You know, the Jepson House is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, what a beautiful place for Dr. Gross and his staff to come to work to every day. And you know, the history of the house is impressive, but so is the interior. You know, the way it looks inside is thanks to all the hard work of Laura Garcia Culler. She's the Georgia Historical Society's Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer. She tells us why it's so important to get everything just right.
And I had the privilege to work with Lynn Gresham, who is a local interior designer, and we spent a lot of time talking about the Georgia Historical Society. I mean, she didn't really know us that well, and she made it her job to get to know what we do. So her inspiration was ink for the more formal finishes in the building. So the parlor level is really what we now consider to be our museum level, where we could hang collections that in the past were sort of stored in the stack. We had to get this right for 2 reasons. One, as a nonprofit, we have a responsibility to be good stewards of the funds and of the generosity of the people that support us. They give us their time, they give us their money, and they give us their gifts, and they also give us their experience. I mean, we had to think about what's the expansion in the next 5, 10, 15 years. And I think that we have room for that now, which we didn't have before.
So what a beautiful place this is, the Jepson House Education Center. And so much history encompassed here. Can you kind of touch on some of the history of the Jepson House Education Center?
Sure. It's obviously a lovely place to come to work. We're thrilled to be in here. We feel like it was really in keeping with Hodgson Hall, which is across the street, where we've been since 1875. It's been our statewide headquarters since that time. And the house that we're in now has always been a private residence. And so this is really the first time that we've departed from that we've worked really hard to make it still feel like a home, but a place that's also very functional as a 21st century office. The house was built in 1856 by Thomas Holcomb, who was a merchant here in town, and obviously, if you look around, a very successful one. I think the house reflects his success as a merchant. He built it on what was then the southern edge of town. This would have been close to like a suburb of Savannah at that time. Forsyth Park was still very new, literally just right out his front door. And so the grandeur of the house, like so many houses in Savannah, really reflects the man who built it, the time in which it was built, and the statement that he wanted to make to everybody in Savannah. Look at me, I have arrived, I am successful, this is my house.
It has to feel good that you've expanded your campus.
Yes, it does. It's given us the opportunity to really try to do some new things. We can hire new people, we have room for expansion here. In the places where we used to be across the street in Hodgson Hall, it's a beautiful library, but it was never really meant as a big office building.
And that hasn't changed.
It has not changed. Our collection, our library and archives, our collection of Georgia materials is still there, will always be there. It's a beautiful structure in and of itself. But it didn't really suit our purposes as an office. We really began to outgrow it. We had staff tucked into all sorts of places over there, even in closets, it seemed like. And so here, we obviously, it's a whole new experience for us coming to work here. I think it's re-energized everybody who works here, our board, everybody can see what an enormous accomplishment this has been. And so we're very proud and pleased to be here.
It's not just right here in Savannah. Georgia Historical Society encompasses all of Georgia.
It does. We are one of only 2 statewide entities here in Savannah. One is the Georgia Ports Authority, and we're the other. Our outreach goes out across the country. We publish all of Georgia history. We hold programs on all of Georgia history in all parts of Georgia. We put up historical markers across the state. We were involved in a program called Today in Georgia History that told the story of all of our history, of all parts of the state. So we're very much focused on being Georgia's historical society. We are fortunate that we were founded here in Georgia's first city. It is obviously a beautiful place to live and work. It's no secret that we'd rather live here and work here than in Atlanta. The commute is much better, the traffic is much better, and it's just a beautiful place. And it really gives you the feeling of history here.
Let's talk about the festival.
Okay.
And talk a little bit about that and what that encompasses.
Well, there's going to be an opening event at the state capitol in February, so there'll be a chance for school kids in the Atlanta area to come out for that. We, of course, also have our gala, which is here in Savannah, which is the big event that's sort of the culmination of the entire festival, where we'll be honoring...
That's February 14th?
February 14th, yeah, on Saturday the 14th. We'll be honoring 2 new Georgia trustees this year, whom you probably have heard about, Paula Wallace and Alana Shepard. So we're very excited about that. That is always a great event. The governor is here, a lot of dignitaries, everybody gets dressed up. It's a really, really special night for Savannah and for Georgia and for GHS. Come out and have fun. It's a great time to be down here on Georgia Day and see the parade and see all those kids, how happy they are. You know, there's so much bad news that's on every day. This is a great time to come out and see something that's really positive and involves young people, and this is our future. Come out and look at it, have fun, and enjoy it, and be part of this event, this institution. It's great. It's great for all of us.
Welcome back to the Southern Scene on WSAV and MyLC. Well, it's almost time for the Georgia Day Parade. As part of the annual commemoration of the founding of the Georgia colony on February 12th in 1733 by James Edward Oglethorpe, students, musicians, local dignitaries, and costumed historical figures marched through Savannah's historic squares during this wonderful event. In past years, kids have learned about composer Johnny Mercer, author Flannery O'Connor, baseball player Jackie Robinson, and founder of the Girl Scouts, Julia Gordon Lowe. This year, explorer Hernando de Soto was chosen so children can learn about the impact of Spanish exploration in our state.
Every year, the Georgia History Festival has a unique topic of study. And this year, our topic of study is Hernando de Soto and the impact of Spanish exploration in Georgia. So even though we have a lot of the same events every year, it's always fresh and unique because we're learning something new as students and as adults in our state. And so this year we're studying a very important and a less known aspect of Georgia's early history, which is the Spanish exploration and influence in Georgia. This year we have a really exciting program called In-School Presentations, Discovering the Impact of Hernando de Soto and Spanish Exploration in Georgia. And we are working with Massey Heritage Center on these presentations. And so 10 schools will be going in and setting up 4 discovery stations about something related to the topic of either Hernando de Soto or Spanish exploration in general. And at each of these stations, the elementary school children will do something interactive to learn about the topic. So we've been working really hard to prepare for that, and we've got 10 schools all signed up, and they're all working in advance to learn a little bit about Hernando de Soto using our online materials and get acquainted with the topic so we can really dig in at our presentations. We also already have kids all across Savannah working hard on their banners. Now they take the banners very seriously because we have a competition at the Georgia Day Parade, and only one school will be crowned the winner of the banner competition, but we'll hand out multiple trophies for students. And the topic of the banner is new this year too. It's called the Geography of Exploration. So students are learning about geography and maps and navigation, and they're taking everything they learn and putting it in a visual way on these banners, and we'll be awarding them for the best banner that talks about the topic and has been a creative way that the students are presenting that material on the Georgia Day. I'm hearing that the teachers are very excited. The kids enjoy this topic. It's very different than previous years when we focused on the biography of someone. And students really like maps and pictures, and they like learning about exploration. I mean, how exciting to think about someone who sailed across the ocean. This was before cell phones or before telegraph. There was no way that they knew what they were coming to. And so it's very exciting to get in that spirit of discovery. The Georgia Day Parade it's really amazing to be involved in something that's considered a Savannah tradition. And so although it requires a lot of work, there's a lot of background time we spend on arranging everything, getting everyone to sign up, communications, hundreds of emails. On the day, it just feels like you're a part of something very special, and the kids love it. And I've talked to teachers now who grew up in Savannah, and in second grade they marched in the Georgia Day Parade, and how excited they are to take their students through it. It's amazing to be a part of a tradition, and so the Georgia Day Parade day, I just feel like I'm a part of something that is a tradition that goes into history, and so it's an amazing feeling. It's a community feeling. It's good.
The 2015 Georgia Day Parade will be on February 18th. You don't want to miss it. Well, we've spent all day here at the Jepson House Education Center. It's the newest edition of the Georgia Historical Society as they've expanded their beautiful campus. It is an amazing showplace for a wonderful group of people whose sole purpose is the preservation of our state's history. You know, it seems only fitting that the major benefactors of this home have a rich history in the state.
About 4 years ago, I was asked by Todd and the board if I would serve on the board of the Georgia Historical Society. I had some knowledge of what the organization was doing and how it was progressing, so I said yes, and I've enjoyed that directorship from day one. About a year and a half ago, I became the chairman of the Historical Society, and pleased with the role. We serve 2-year terms, so you're not elected for life. You're elected for 2 years, and you do what you can to help the organization move along with its mission and its direction as its chair. I saw in the Georgia Historical Society an opportunity to help an organization meet in a quicker and a more grand way some of its full potential. So, you know, what is the potential of the organization? It's statewide. It's headquartered here in Georgia's first city, which is rightful. But it is a statewide organization. We have an office in Atlanta, and our stretch is to the very edges of the state boundaries in every direction and even beyond. We live in a state that is so rich with history, just rich with history, and the whole world knows that, and that's why we have so many guests coming here every year and visitors seeing a part of the United States that doesn't exist everywhere anymore. So I took it upon myself to help, and our family, to help the organization begin to spread its wings somewhat. The archives next door are at their very limits, and you know, one of our missions here is to collect and to study and disseminate the history of the state. And when your archives are busting at the seams, the collection of more artifacts and more history it comes to a standstill. So we moved the headquarters. We had to find a place to move the headquarters of the organization so that the headquarters space in the old building could become additional archive space. And it just so happened, Todd came across the street. We had to have a building that was in very close proximity. So he came across the street and asked the owners of this building if ever they decided to sell, would they please let him know? And I think they let him know right then that they were interested in selling the building. So we put together a fundraiser that lasted some time. We gathered the funds to buy the building, gathered the funds to really restore the building and change the building so that its application would be more compatible with an organization rather than a family. It took us about 1.5 years, 2 years to get the project completed, and as you see, it turned out very well. So we have a staff today that is housed in a facility that is compatible with their jobs, and we have new space for archives across the street, and we have a facility in which we can entertain visitors to the organization, which are numerous and many, and I think all in all it's been a win-win-win. So we were very pleased to be a part of it and thrilled that we could help the organization kind of take the next step in its development.
And that's going to wrap it up for today's show. I hope you've enjoyed watching. Now remember, keep your eyes open. You know our Southern Scene cameras are always out and about, and you never know when you might be seen on the Southern Scene. See you next time.